Hello everyone. I'm going to do two examples using the centroid theorem, which again, the centroid theorem states that the centroid is 2/3 of the distance from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. So this first example, we have triangle RST, and I'm told that Q is the centroid of the triangle. So point Q here in the middle. So a couple things, because that's the centroid, I know that this is created by the medians of the triangle, which means that these 3 points, these are all midpoints of their respective sides. So these two segments are congruent, these are congruent like that, and this last pair are congruent. Also, we know that the distance from the vertex here to the centroid is 2/3 the distance from Q to the midpoint of the opposite side. So here I would like to find QW and SW. And I know that SQ, this segment, is 8. So the centroid theorem, a couple different ways we can think about it. We know that SQ is 2/3 of the entire median of SW. Or another way is that SQ is twice as long as QW, since this represents 2/3 of the distance and this is the last 1/3. So if I know SQ is 8, 8 has to be twice as long as whatever QW is. So if I divide by 2, we get QW is equal to 4. Now once I know that's 4, I can add those two segments together, and I can see that SW is 12 units long. So the entire thing is 12. SQ is 8, which represents 2/3 of that distance, and then QW is 4, which represents the last 1/3. The second example I'd like to do, we're still going to use the centroid theorem, but now I have some expressions that represent my segment lengths here. So D is the centroid. So again, I know that BD is twice as long as DF. And we just want to find the value of x. So we are given DF. This is represented by 4x minus 1. And BD, this is represented by 6x plus 4. So using the centroid theorem, we know that BD has to be twice as long as DF. This is 2/3 the length, that's the other 1/3. Now we can substitute in the expressions that we know. So BD, that's the 6x plus 4, and then 2 times DF, which is 4x minus 1. I'm putting that DF in parentheses because we want to multiply that entire length by 2, so that means we are going to have to distribute. So 6x plus 4, that's going to be equal to 8x minus 2. And now we can combine some like terms to solve for x. So adding 2 here, we get 6. 8x minus 6x, that's going to leave us with 2x. And then dividing both sides by 2, we get x is equal to 3. So that's all we were asked to do, but if we wanted to go further, now that we know x, we could plug that in to our two expressions for the segment lengths to see what they are. So for example, BD, that's going to be equal to 6 times 3 plus 4, which is 18 plus 4, so we get a length of 22. Now because BD has to be twice as long as DF, DF should be 11. So let's test that out. 4 times 3 minus 1, which is 12 minus 1, so that is a length of 11. So that looks good. BD is 22, DF is 11, BD is twice as long as DF. The entire segment the entire median is, adding those together, we get 33. 22 represents 2/3 of that, and then the 11 represents the other 1/3.